Just jumping out here to the podcast world. Mark and I, we had a great opportunity to meet right before we were getting this thing started, and we definitely have hit it off. So I appreciate you coming on. But you talked about kind of great memories, and I know one in particular
Mhm.
is that particular year when we hit those 27 touchdowns in Kansas City,
Oh,
and I
yes,
remember
sir.
leading up to that from 2001 to 2002 to 2003. There
Mhm.
was one particular thing, one memory I remember. When I would cross that goal line, I would know Jason. I'd know you be there waiting because I would run and Jason be looking like, come on,
Yeah.
bring it in, and I'd run, jump, and then Jason would grab me, man, and I'll point up to the sky, man, and that became our signature after
Yes,
all
sir.
those touchdowns, man. And so I remember after crossing that goal line, I knew who was
Mhm.
waiting on me
I
to
love that.
celebrate with me,
Love
That's
that.
Great
right.
memory.
I
That's
was
right.
telling Priest, you guys got to turn that into a silhouetted logo. Jordan's got his flight. You guys got to do the
Yeah.
the
That's
bear
right.
hug
Yeah.
one.
That's a fact. That's a
Yeah.
fact, man.
That's
Yeah.
You know
so
what,
cool. Now, how heavy was Priest? Were you like, hey man, you got to shed a few? Come on now. Or
man? Look, at the moment when he was getting in the end zone, it didn't even matter how much he weighed. He could have had linemen on his back, all to still try to pick Priest up, man. That's
I
that's
love
just
that.
the way it was.
Sure.
And really, Priest, man. You know, I just took those moments because you get in the end zone, any running back, but you in particular, I just wanted to give you that shine and that spotlight. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it was almost
Love
like
that.
just throwing you up. You know how when you go hip hip hooray and you got guys, you
That's right.
throw them up in the air, you carry them in, like it's a wedding on your shoulder. So to me, man, it was a celebration every time they got into the end zone,
Yeah, that's
and you
right.
deserve every bit of that. So that's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Um, so I
There's another memory I got too, Jason.
okay.
Talking to Tony Richardson, also, our my fullback. He talked about the toss crack play that we would run when we
Oh,
dial that bad boy up. And we
yes,
always
sir.
knew that JD was gonna set that edge. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
JD would set that edge and pin the line down, and then you've
Hmm.
got offensive lineman. You got either Will pulling around the side,
Ugh,
Casey Wigman is coming,
insane.
Yes, sir.
Tony Richardson is coming downhill, and they're all blocking space. So that just
Mhm.
means if you're in the way, they're gonna come get you.
Yep.
You
That's
know.
right.
But I
That's right.
always know that end would be set by Jason, man. Jason, you did a wonderful job, man. It keeps coming back to those meat hooks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, brother.
That's one of the
Appreciate it.
valuable things. And then, we also talked about the injury. I had one in college. I had a ACL tear as well. And some
Hmm.
of those things, it's more of a mental game, about getting back because at some point, the knee, you have the surgery, it will recover, but it's
Hmm.
always just that mental aspect behind it. Once we got to Kansas City, do you think any of that mental aspect of it kind of bothered you as far as with your knee?
Uh, Not really. And I'm gonna tell you why. I think at this moment, right before then, priest, is when I really got deep in my faith.
Hmm.
And I remember I asked God. I said, "Man, if I have another chance and opportunity at this, I will not take anything for granted." And so, kind of on the darker side of it, when I was in Philadelphia, kind of going through my thing, man, I really was kind of mad at how everything went, and so I had to go through finding who I was through that '99 when I was off. I did a lot of like mental work, trying to get through that place. You know what I'm saying? God was able to knock on my door to help me get to that place, and so when I got out to Kansas City, I'm like, man, I might just have one shot at this. I might just have one rep. But every rep I give, I'm gonna give it my all. And so it got to the point, man, in training camp, it was me, Troy Drayton, and Tony was the tight ends. And me and Troy both had knee injuries coming into Kansas City. And one day, man, I just needed a day off, priest. You know what I'm saying? You just
That's
know
right.
your body's just not right. I just need that day. And I asked Gunther Cunningham, I said, hey, Gun, I said, I got to talk to you. So Gun's like, yeah, JD, what is it? I said, look, Gun, I said, man, I just need a day off. He said, oh, Jason. I was like, what? He said, man, I thought you was going to quit on me. He said, man, you need a day off. He said, absolutely. He said, man, everybody's been watching what you do, the work you've been putting in. He said, you take as many days off as you need. And that was just that confirmation, man, because I was just giving everything I could, dragging that leg as much as I could during training camp. Um, and that was the mental part of that. I did the work before I got out there to Kansas City, man. That wasn't gonna be the reason I quit or why I stopped. But I just know I needed a day off. And then once I came out to practice, you know what everybody did for me, Priest?
What's
I
that?
came out to practice and I had that day off. Everybody clapped for me.
That's right.
Everybody clapped, man, because they knew how much work I put in. They had seen the pain I was kind of going through, but I didn't lose any rep, man. I went full speed as I could, and that's what I just gave, man. Uh, so yeah, that was a big time, man, just to really learn who I was. You know what
Yeah,
I
you
mean?
talk about the
Seriously.
different injuries. There's a certain point with an injury that you got to go through the pain. You got to go
Right.
through the
Yeah,
suffering part of it.
that's
But
right.
there comes a point where it's just that mental capacity that you have to have in order to start trusting wherever that injury or that surgery recovery time has done. So
Hmm.
I know that was a big part of your career. Definitely big for me as well. I had to
Hmm.
also, just overcome, that fear of putting my foot in the ground and just knowing that, I had the surgery, I did the rehab, I did everything that I could do. And now it's just time for me to just trust it and get out there and play football. So that's very important. I think for any of the youngsters, they get a chance to chime in and jump on there. It's good work for them to be able to hear, how you can recover and come back
Yeah.
from an injury.
So Priest, let me ask you, man, because you remember we when we both came back, we were both on what is that? From injury. That one year you came back from your neck,
That's right.
and I came back from my back. Um, how was your approach? You know what I mean? From something that's significant, and I don't know. I'm sure you probably talked about it before. Uh, like how bad that injury was for you. But there was a point, man. You had to make a decision. You know what I mean? Like, from what I understood, it was like one of those things that was, hey, man, this could end badly,
That's right. Yeah.
and I know, and I'll let you go ahead and talk about it, man, because I had to wonder, man, when you came out there. I'm telling you, I always appreciated you. I always appreciated and loved you, man. But you taking that step to come out then, I was like, Dad, God, man, this dude is another. This is just a different dude, a different cat. Uh, and that just shows me like your mental toughness of just dealing with that, but also too kind of what you was looking at, like, okay, on the other side, this is what it could be. So how'd you know what I'm saying? I know you kind of gave like that answer, but you got a more definitive thing for me
Yeah,
to
well,
hear?
it's more of a for me, it was more of a buildup, and it was one of those things where I had taken a couple of collisions, taken a couple of hits,
Hmm.
helmet to helmet, and you have to remember a lot of the things that they've now outlawed in the NFL, you know, you could do.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
do those certain type of hits or
Yeah.
how we could pull
Mhm.
you down from
Yeah,
the
from
horse
horse collaring,
collar. Yeah,
yeah, and then
sure.
Yeah.
helmet
All
to
that.
Yeah.
helmet, launching, hitting below the knee. So, those tactics was definitely utilized back when we were playing.
Oh yeah.
Whether you were on the receiving end or you were giving it. But
Mhm.
after I had taken several of those shots, there was one in particular, JD, that we were in. I think it was camp. And it was right before the season was getting ready to start. And I don't know if you remember, we were just on a goal line play, and then I'm
Mhm.
running into the end zone, just like a 4-yard run, and I'm running to the end zone. But we're in full contact, we're in pads, and we're tackling. And I lower my head, but I ended up hitting one of the younger guys helmet to helmet. And I
Oh.
noticed that initially when I had that helmet to helmet hit, it just is like froze my body to
Mm.
where I could still walk, I could still move, but I couldn't feel anything. And that was the one thing that was the difference, that when that started to happen and it began to be repeatedly, it
Yeah.
could be I could score a touchdown when the season started, and then a player would come behind and smack me on the back of my head just to congratulate me. And
Mhm.
without them knowing that, my whole body would go numb. So I knew
Wow.
just nerve wise that there was something going on
That's
cervically,
scary.
on my cervical.
Yeah,
And
man.
there would be
Bad
times
time.
where, Trent would toss me the ball and I have the ball in my hand. I
Mhm.
can feel the ball. I can still run, but it's like a numbness or a tingling sensation that's kind of like generating inside. And as I began to continue to play with that, that's what began to make me think and rethink, like, wait a minute, this is a lot more serious than I'm thinking that it is. It's not one of those things that back then you could just get your bell rung. They give you
Yeah.
some smelling salt. You just shake it off. It was to the point then, it was like, I couldn't shake it off anymore, and it didn't matter how many weights I was lifting, didn't matter how much I was running, didn't matter how much my diet was on point. It was just one of those things that I couldn't control. So now you go from someone smacking me on the back of the head to congratulate me, a player hitting me while I'm down on the ground, not intentional that they're trying to hit me, but just running into me. It started to trigger off so many different nerves, and so that was the one thing that got to a point where I was just like, wait a minute. Let's rethink this. Let's reevaluate this. And it was part of my decision why at the end of the day I had to go ahead and step away, because I couldn't tell you what would happen if I took another shot, and one of the last shots that I took was we went up to Indy in 07, and it was just a regular open step crossover downhill. I go for about 9 yards, and I see the defender come in from the right side as I'm getting tackled. I'm thinking he's going to veer off, JD. Instead of him veering off, he tries to jump over me. I'm thinking he's veering off. I go to raise up to get up from being tackled, and I catch a knee to the side of the helmet. And then, and then again, the linemen are getting ready to help me up off the ground, but they don't realize that I can't feel anything in my body. So I'm laying there waiting, telling myself to get up, but my body can't get up.
Can't do it
because
physically do it.
Yeah, physically I couldn't get up. And so it was just a matter of maybe like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. You wouldn't even know that this happened. But then my feeling came back, and then I was able to get myself off the ground. But as I'm walking, it feels like I'm walking on cloud 9. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. And the next play is coming up, and I'm getting the ball. So it's just like, wait a minute. Like, yeah, we got to do something about this.
Did you take yourself out?
So it was halftime came up. Right. And so luckily halftime came, because I probably would have tried to stay in there. But halftime came. I went into the locker room, never came back out. And I don't know if you recall that, JD. That was the year that Larry Johnson had broke his foot. And then we also had Larry had broke his foot. Kobe Smith was the running back that they had brought in from Louisville. And I should have been only having 10 plays the entire game. So however, if it was in a play where I was a misdirection, I ran the ball, or I just was blocking, it was only 10 plays. And so it went from 10 plays to over 30 to 40 plays because LJ went down. So it was one of those calls that I just had to make,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Dang God, man. See, and that's the crazy part, man, is when, you're right there with your brother and you don't even know really what's going on, because in a moment, we are just picking you up. We are like, the very next play. That's what that's what we're taught. We're taught, hey, let's next play and clear.
That's right.
Next play. Let's go to the next one. And so when your body's sitting over there screaming, and you're dealing with this internal thing that everybody didn't know about, and now I'm sitting there thinking like, man, I shouldn't have been hitting Priest in the back of his head every time he scored.
Oh no.
Oh man, it made me feel
Chain
bad,
reaction.
Priest. I'm like, dang God, I'm congratulating him. And Priest is grunting like, oh.
Well, look, some of these celebrations you see in the NFL, the dog pile, the whole thing, and I'm just like, no, please don't get injured. It'd be awful.
Yeah.
Man, that wild experience to go through, man. When your body is telling you, giving you those signs and those signals, I mean, you made the right call.
Well, it comes in different ways too. Also, I think as a veteran gets older in the game, JD, I think the body has a funny, interesting, unique way of telling you it's your time. And the body will let you know in terms of if you get a step behind, or the arm isn't firing that ball off as fast as it is, or your instincts aren't as clear. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
This has been a Playmaker production.